What's up, heathens? How ya doing? So, yeah, my voice is still fucked up. I know. I'm working on it. I'm getting better, I think. But today we have comments. And you know how much I love the comments, but we gotta get to our winner from last week. And last week winner was this dumbass right here. Yes, Karen. You were a highlight from last week, Karen. And if you don't remember, whenever you hear Karen, you should think, fuck you. But yes, Karen, you won last week's dumbass because you left a comment, but then said you didn't have time for us. Why would you leave a comment and then tell me that you don't have time to leave a comment? That seems bass-backwards, doesn't it? If you pick Karen from last week, you win 1,000,000 God points. Remember, these God points are worth about as much as conservative opinions about Trump. Speaking of dumbasses, this week we have a lot of comments about my mythicism position. First, a guy tells me to edit Wikipedia. Apparently, I offended this flying spaghetti monster. A lot of people just don't care about this particular position, and I can respect that. But the 500 witnesses. A couple of people are pushing the at-will position, which is that the Romans concocted Jesus to control the Jews, which is not supported in history at all. And I clarify my position on mythicism a little bit for you guys. So, if you're interested in this, then please stay tuned. First we have, today I learned.
That note was special, baby.
Was it special? I thought it was beautiful. It was a little shrill, really?
It was a little, that one was a little.
Anyways, today I learned, after Jean-Claude Van Damme's biggest movie hit, Time Cop in 1994, let me know in the comments right now if you actually saw that movie and you loved it, because I know I did, and it was for the sex scene. Yeah. Oh, you didn't see it? Know what we're watching later.
Oh, damn.
Jean-Claude Van Damme time travels, and it is fucking awesome, and everybody has to see Time Cop, just like everybody needs to see Waterworld, Postman, and all of those great things. There's another one called Slither that is also awesome, which I guess you haven't seen, and it's gross as fuck, but we're gonna watch it one day.
No!
But he was offered a 3-picture deal at $12 million per picture, but he turned it down. He demanded that he get the same deal as Jim Carrey, $20 million per movie. He was rejected and his career never recovered. He later admitted he acted like an idiot. Hindsight is always 20/20 there, Johnny. Today I learned ancient Greek mathematician Eratosthenes was nicknamed Beta because he was skilled in many things, but never the best. Ooh, he is the beta cuck of the academic world in ancient Greece. I'm sure flat earthers are going to use that from now on. It's like, you're using the Eratosthenes thing for the circumference of the earth? I would not use that fucking beta, Chad. I don't think you can actually be beta and Chad at the same time, but I don't know. That's kind of crossing like crazy on the internet there. All right, last today I learned, and then we'll get into the video. Today I learned that The Rock travels with a private gym of over 400,000 pounds of equipment that over 100 crew members assemble at each film location. Can you imagine being addicted to the gym so much that you have to carry around that kind of entourage? Now, I will say that The Rock makes enough money to do that. So, I mean, I guess if I could have like a personal gym assembled at wherever the fuck I'm filming at, I might do it. I don't know. If I had the amount of time that actors get, like between movies and everything like that, I could probably lose the fucking weight. Guess what? I gotta work 40 hours a week, and plus I make videos on YouTube. So that's it for Today I Learned. Here you go. Here's another piece. Today I learned. This guy is special. I don't understand, dude. If you have reliable, verifiable sources, please go to the Wikipedia and change the historical Jesus entries. Until then, you're wrong. It's part of our lexicon that historical Jesus was real. Undeniably real. And then he just quotes fucking Wikipedia. Lexicon is like a dictionary, isn't it? Lexicon, the vocabulary of a person, language or branch of knowledge. I don't understand how, like, Jesus is historical can be part of our lexicon. Does that make sense, honey? I don't know. You're the word person. That's right, honey. Harry Potter is part of our lexicon, and he has a Wikipedia page. Guess that means Hogwarts is real. Better get out of here before I expelliarmus you, motherfuckers. Expelliarmus, bitch. Like, how do you say bitch in fucking Latin? I'm sure somebody's going to comment with it right now. Bitcho! It's probably not bitcho. How dare you talk about the flying spaghetti monster like that? He boiled for our sins. I know he boiled for our sins. I don't know what... I respect the flying spaghetti monster. Him and I are bros. We fist palmed, but you couldn't see it. I fist palmed. I fist bumped. I did it again. At this point, I'm really just beating him up. So I need to stop before he lets me go. Because the whole idea is that the flying spaghetti monster holds us down with his love and shit and noodles. Robertson644. I'm beyond actually caring whether Jesus existed or not. The whole concept of Christianity is ridiculous enough that it really doesn't matter unless you're a Christian. Every verse in the Bible is full of stupid assumptions about reality that are either unprovable or easy to disprove. And I do respect the position of not caring about this particular argument. And in the video, a lot of people were thinking that I was trying to make it integral to the atheist position. I said that it's integral to my position as an atheist. That does not mean that it has to be integral to your position. But I do, in the video that he's commenting on, I do make a case for why it should be important. Because I feel that evidence for things that you claim are true is important. You know, I get a lot of things wrong, and I hate when I'm wrong and I figure it out later, or somebody tells me in the comments how I'm wrong, and, you know, I'm verifiably wrong. I want to have the best information. I don't want to be out there like, oh yeah, Jesus definitely existed, and then be met with, all right, well, where's your evidence? Well, shit, I didn't know you were going to ask for fucking evidence for shit I was saying was true. God damn it. And then you take a swig of beer. That's how that always happens.
Oh, is it?
It is. Reese C, which I don't know if Reese is watching tonight, but the 500 witnesses. If you don't know what he's talking about Paul claiming that 500 people witnessed the risen Christ. Even if 500 people did witness the risen Christ, all that is just literally hearsay. And if 500 people had a hallucination of a dead guy, I would believe that 500 people have. Obviously, group hallucinations can happen, but at the same time, this is just hearsay from a guy who has visions of a dead guy, specifically a dead Jew. Jesus is legit, honey. Jesus is legit as shit. Anyways, Brenda, she says, very thought-provoking. One of your best videos, in my honest opinion. Thank you, Brenda. I appreciate that. I've been trying to do better. I'm glad that it's showing. Casey was integral to that video. Otherwise, I would have just been spouting off a whole bunch of shit that didn't make sense. That's happened on a video before. It was not pretty. Ever since I first saw it, I was fascinated by your views. I grew up with the idea that everything in the Bible was mostly a myth, but my parents at least held the belief that Jesus was a real person. As for myself, I was never a religious person, so having to explain everything in that context was just something I never did. Science was always how I understood the world to work. And like I said before, it's completely fine. I don't think that it needs to be integral to your position as an atheist, or I'm not sitting here saying that you need to know like rebuttals to every single apologist argument. Although I do feel like it's incumbent upon me to know the rebuttals to nearly every apologist argument. But then again, I'm a content creator on YouTube and I participate in debates a lot. Like I had to do deep research on Herod's death date because people are questioning whether or not he died in 4 BC. Okay, Patrick, I don't mean to be a dick. Some say Roman conspiracy. Some say separatist Jews. I think it's possible the first Christians were just trolls instigating the Roman Civil War to create a power vacuum. Vacuum spelled wrong. Thank you for your input, Patrick. I appreciate you commenting, but no, it was not a Roman conspiracy. That is from the crank at will. I don't know if you guys know him, but he has no actual evidence to support his claims, and he's actually a horrible historian. Illuminati! My criticism is you will have issues deconverting people who agree with the consensus by abandoning Bart Ehrman's side of the debate or not coming at this with an agnostic view. Well, I mean, I do come at it with an agnostic view. I get how it seems like maybe I don't, but I actually do, because I'm not saying that I know he didn't exist. I know sometimes I use rather strong language with it, like saying, oh, well, Jesus didn't exist. But that's really just a colloquial way of me, espousing my ideas about it, that he most probably didn't exist. I don't claim to know that he didn't, but I think that it's most probable that he didn't. And I actually don't use this argument when I'm confronting everyday Christians or anything like that. I don't bring it out because, I mean, quite honestly, getting them to shed their faith is hard enough, if I even want to do that, which most of the time I don't. I don't care if somebody believes in Jesus or not. I would hope that reason and logic would help them find their way out of it, but I'm not going to sit here and try to convince somebody that Jesus didn't exist. But when I do get into conversations, I do like people to have evidence to back up what they say is true, and that's why this particular conversation is important to me. Zero 132132, he's a very avid commenter on the YouTube channel and during the live streams and everything like that. He says, it isn't that I don't think it's important, it's that I'm not convinced. There's no evidence that we would expect of a desert peasant leading a fringe cult that was executed. Nobody's explained why or even how people would just make up a person. And actually I didn't hit the read more, which I wish I did. Normally I do, but this time I fucked up. I'm sorry. Sorry, Zero. But what I will do is I'll comment on what you've said here. Why people would just make him up. And I don't think that it's necessarily like there was just he just out of the blue somebody just made him up or something. See, there was a Messiah in the Old Testament that was talked about. Those are the prophecies that have been discussed concerning the Old Testament and Jesus. Philo of Alexandria is actually evidence that people were looking for a Messiah figure, because he describes basically Jesus in one of his works. I think it's on the Confusion of Tongues is what it is. But it's not like a point by point bullet specific account of Jesus. It's just like he's the Son of God. He's a high priest in the celestial God temple. He's an agent of creation and all this other things. Everything that was used to describe the Jesus of the Gospels, Philo does, and he does it way before Paul was writing, which is our first indication of Jesus. And so it's not that people just on a whim made up a Jesus figure. It's just that people were expecting the Messiah. They had certain ideas about what the Messiah was, and every group of Jews at the time that were breaking away from the Jewish temple, they had these different ideas about which ones they would fulfill, which ones were actual prophecies of Jesus. And so what you have is an amalgam of different versions of Jesus, and by the time that you get to about 150, middle of the 2nd century, you have four prominent at least 4, maybe 5 prominent communities of Jewish Christians, Jewish Christians actually just became Christians by the 2nd century, so Christians that were in existence, and even after that, they still modified what we would consider the New Testament today. So it's not that it just came up out of a whim. The foundation was already there. It just took people assuming that it had happened using the prophecies. I have no doubt Jesus did exist along with all the other characters, but, and it's a big but, like a Nicki Minaj butt, like one of those Nicki Minaj twerking earthquaking butts. Well, yeah, that's not in the comment. They are basically campfire stories which get added to make them more appealing to the listeners, just like the soldier whose message received was send 3 and 4 pence, we're going to a dance. The time the quote got from sender to leader, everything got twisted. The real message was send reinforcements, we're going to advance. Sadly, religion has got to the stage of ours is better than yours attitude, and wars are made from them. I like the statement that you got here about the telephone game and how messages can get jumbled and whatnot, and that's completely valid. But you saying that there's no doubt that Jesus did exist? For me to have no doubt about something, I would have to have concrete evidence to say that. And there just isn't concrete evidence for the existence of Jesus. So I don't see how you could just not have doubt about it. Thanks for the great video. I'm glad to know I'm not alone with the realization that I was deceived by people I had trusted as a child. Learning the Moses story wasn't in some way true was a gut punch that eventually led me to a better understanding of many things. I have to say, yeah, that was a major part of that video, was the fact that I grew up just assuming things were true because people I trusted told me they were true. And I felt really hurt by that when, you know, I started looking things up for myself. You know, I had spent so much time believing in untrue things that I just want to be, you know, sure in what I say is true. Why did it take Moses 40 years to go less than 400 miles? It didn't technically. Yeah, you're right, Casey. It didn't technically. But at the same time, see, God was punishing the Jews by making them stay out of the land until everybody had died that originally left Egypt. It does say wandered in the desert, but that's because they couldn't go into the land of milk and honey for some reason. They probably needed to clean up after the party, and it just took 40 years to do that. You know, people didn't do shit back then. We'll end on a really, really good note here. This is not exactly what I strive for, but I hope to get people to think. First time I saw a video on yours on mythicism, I didn't believe and thought it was stupid. That's a common reaction. I totally understand, even as an atheist. But after listening to what you said and actually looking at the sources and more information about it, I am now a mythicist. My goal in espousing, you know, what I know about the first century concerning, you know, early Christianity and everything like that, it's not my goal to turn people into mythicists. It's my goal to inspire people to actually do the research on their own, to actually look at the evidence, to critically consider the evidence, and then make your decision. And, you know, I present things for my side of the argument, but it's always in hopes that you, the watcher or the viewer, will actually go and research the things yourself and make the decision yourself. I don't want you to be a mythicist just because I say it. I want you to do what Mauro Pinto here has done, and that's looking at the sources, looking at the information. And I think that everybody needs to do that concerning everything, because there's a lot of things that I agree with on the consensus, like the fact that Abraham and all those old fuck patriarchs like Moses and Noah, none of them existed, because we have archaeological evidence that suggests that they didn't. It makes it more probable that they were made up rather than them being actual people. So that's why I think that. I don't think that because of the consensus. I think it because that's what the evidence says. And this directly translates to like climate change, because you shouldn't think that climate change is happening because of human influence just because a bunch of scientists say that happens. I mean, with the lead in the environment in like the 50s, 60s, and 70s, they had scientists that were putting out work that were saying that no, we're not adding lead to our environment, that this is all natural. But then you had other scientists that were bringing up evidence that contradicted that claim. And eventually we got lead out of everything and we started being more aware of it. But it took years to do that. And you shouldn't believe it just because a bunch of people say that it's true. You should believe it because the evidence is convincing. So that's what you should be looking at. The evidence, like the evidence that the ice caps have been melting more and more each year is overwhelming. The raw data speaks volumes. You don't have to say, hey, all of these scientists believe it and say that it's true, therefore it is. All you have to do is say, hey, look at all of these scientific studies, and all of these scientific studies point to one particular answer, that we are causing climate change. And that's why mythicism is not just like climate change denial or flat earthers or anything like that. Thank you, heathens, for making it to the end. Have you left your vote for this week's dumbass? No? Then go down below right now and leave your vote for this week's dumbass. While you're down there, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe if you like this kind of dumbass content. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice. I will see you heathens later. This dumbass right here.